ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषान्ति श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् हरि ओम्। All right. Today we are starting a few minutes late. We will pick up with Ganesha Stava as we did last time next week. I hope that is okay, right? We'll begin now by chanting. If you do not have a copy of Sadhana Panchakam, our text, you'll be able to find a copy online to chant along. And here at the ashram, you can come pick up a copy. It's a small little book with a wonderful commentary by Swami Chinmayananda. And for those living in Guyana, it is also available on West Coast by the Krishna Puja store in Tushin. Okay. So let us begin now by chanting this beautiful composition by none other than Adi Shankaracharya, Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya. So we'll do lead and repeat. Just see who has a copy of it. Bindu, do you have a copy? Yes. Do you mind doing the repeat? Okay. Vedo nityamadhiyatam taduditam
वेदो नित्यमधीयतां तदुदितम्
कर्मस्वनुष्ठीयताम्
कर्मस्वनुष्ठीयताम्
येनेशस्य विधीयतामपचितिः
तेनेशस्य विधीयतामपचितिः
काम्ये मतिस्त्यज्यताम्
काम्ये मतिस्त्यज्यताम्
पापौघः परिधूयतां भवसुखे
पापौघः परिधूयतां भवसुखे
दोषोऽनुसन्धीयताम्
दोषोऽनुसन्धीयताम्
आत्मेच्छाव्यवसीयतां निजगृहात्
आत्मेच्छाव्यवसीयतां निजगृहात्
तूर्णं विनिर्गम्यताम्
तूर्णं विनिर्गम्यताम्
All right. So this is the first set of spiritual practices listed in this text. The text has 5 such verses. That's why it's called a Panchakam. And in those 5 verses, 888 different spiritual practices from Hinduism are given in a systematic way. So 8 by 5 is 40. So this could be also Sadhana Chalisa, I told last time, right? Because 40 different spiritual practices are given. And it is a wonderful roadmap for our whole journey. It is a wonderful map of all the different practices in Hinduism. It helps someone who is just starting understand where they are, where they need to go, what needs to be done, what the goal of Hinduism is. It helps someone who has been studying for a long time revisit how they can always have the knowledge that they've studied with them, what practices they have to do to keep that knowledge with them all the time. So it is a text meant for all. The topic is spiritual practices. The word for spiritual practices is sadhana. What does that mean, spiritual practice? Anything you and I do to lift ourselves spiritually is called sadhana in Sanskrit, or spiritual practice. So that can include what? Coming to this class, this is sadhana. Fasting, that is sadhana. Chanting, that is sadhana. Going and sweeping at the mandir, that is also spiritual practice or sadhana. Picking flowers for the puja, which will happen at your neighbor's house. Going to cook to make sure that they have 7 curry and all that. All that will be part of sadhana, because the intention behind it is to lift ourselves spiritually, right? So now, if someone is looking at Hinduism from the outside, the variety of spiritual practices we have is unmatched compared to any other system or tradition or religion, right? We have so much more. And you, in your own household, will have certain things you practice. But you can go some and meet a different Hindu, and they'll be practicing something totally different. Then you might meet some atheist who doesn't say that they are Hindu, but they love the Upanishads. Or some physicist who says, I love this deep philosophy of yours in Hinduism. So they also fall within the fold. They don't want to enter any mandir, but they want to study Vedanta. So all such people come within the gamut of spiritual practices, and there is no great spiritual practice that is not already there in Hinduism. Whatever you see in any other religion, that already is there in Hinduism. The nice thing about Hinduism is that we have that broad-mindedness to see a place for all different spiritual practices. In this way, Hinduism has been called by great saints and sages as the mother of all religions. It means we have everything already in it. What is practiced there in Christianity? The essential principles that are there in that also is there in Hinduism. So to understand how I, as one person in this huge, tremendous, most ancient tradition, am going to take up practices and make my journey where I am and where I have to go, this text was given by none other than Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya. Lord Shiva took an avatar as Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya and came and composed and wrote bhashya, commentary, on so many of the texts that we have. And because of that, we have our Hinduism today. If he did not write the way he did and travel throughout Bharat and teach disciples and remove the doubts of so many of the thinkers of the time and re-establish for humanity how we can discover the inner potential, it would have been lost in the annals of time, all this knowledge. So that supreme authority, Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya, is laying it out for us. That is what I mean to pass on. It's authoritative text. It was given by, as I mentioned before, right before the end of his avatar to the disciples, in response to them asking for some final advice for all seekers. So it was given for you and I also. The first shloka that we chanted, it is in a different meter, right, than what we usually encounter. It has 19 syllables. Whereas, if you're chanting Bhagavad Gita or Hanuman Chalisa, you're introduced to 8 syllables per each, 16 syllables total. This has 19. So the tune you use for Hanuman Chalisa or Bhagavad Gita, they'll not work here. This is called Shardula Vikridita Chanda. That's the name of this chanda. And the reason why we take out time to learn to chant is multiple fold, but chanting itself is a great sadhana. Actually, so much can be said. That's not my topic right now. But I just want to encourage everybody to get a copy and practice chanting. There will be a myriad of benefits. The most basic of which is you will feel more familiar with the text. You will feel like, oh, I actually studied that text. As opposed to I heard a whole bunch of ideas and I really don't know which words match with what ideas and all of that, right? So it's very much part of the tradition. Please get a copy and keep it, by your bedside, read it regularly. Now, the reason why somebody will come for a satsang like this could be anything. But the purpose that is there in the mind of the tradition for giving all this knowledge is so that you can come to realize what so many saints and sages have realized. They cannot touch you and pass on their joy and wisdom. They cannot tell you, they cannot hypnotize you. They cannot give you an amazing ad. They can't force feed you your spiritual growth. Each one of us has to put in the effort to grow for ourselves. So what they do is they have dedicated their lives to create the systems and the environment, and they walk the path every generation and carry you with them as far as you can go with them, trying to help all of us. So here, Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya is giving explanation for our own journey. And the goal is to reach the summit of human evolution, which is called mukti. That is the goal. Now, the language that I'm using, the summit of human evolution, it makes the goal seem very far away. The top of the mountain is always very far away. But the phenomenal thing about what is taught in Hinduism is that peak of your potential is called mukti, but it is a fact that you are already mukta. You are already enjoying the freedom that you're seeking. That is the whole mystery. The word in Sanskrit is nitya mukta. You are already that which you are seeking. You are already home. You are already nothing but ananda. So the journey in spirituality is not like climbing a mountain. The journey is one more like finding something you already have. Like when you've lost the glasses and they're sitting on your head, You don't feel like you have it, but you have it. So the journey of rediscovering the glasses which you already have is very much like the journey of spirituality. In other words, the thing that keeps you and I away from enjoying that which we have is ignorance. And so the journey in spirituality finally is going to be about removing ignorance, which is done with knowledge. If you ever have, you had a $5,000 in your pocket, right? In Canada, that like a $25. You had a 20 in your pocket, right? They're both green. So you had some green money in your pocket, right? And then you put your hand in your pocket and you realize, I don't have it anymore. And there you are standing to cash out and pay the vendor. Then you're worried. You're like, oh no, where is it? Where is it? Looking everywhere. Meanwhile, you've already taken it out and put it on the counter. So not only you've already settled the transaction also. So what it takes then in that situation is not gaining more money. It is not doing anything. It is discovering or learning that this problem was not a problem. I had what I was looking for, right? This is the journey. So that is the final destination. That is where the 40 sadhanas, if you take each one as an individual step, that is at the top. That's at the top. Discovering my own happiness, which I already am. So, and that type of journey is wonderful, right? Because you can't fail. Even if you fail, you're not a failure because you already have what you're looking for. It's not like if you don't do it right, then it could be cut off for you forever and you could be damned and all that. That's not the type of religion that we have. It is just you're getting in your own way here, you're getting in your own way there, you're limiting yourself here, and it's a constant kind of unfolding, right? Claiming, growing into your own abilities, like that. Evolving, if you want to say. So it's a beautiful journey in that way. Not only that, prior to reaching the top of this ladder, if you want to say, or the steps or the mountain, there are some other critical moments. There's a first phase and there's a second phase, right? There is a, what you call, ground floor, floor level 1, floor level 2, and let's say floor level 3 is mukti. So floor level 1 is called purity of mind. So a whole set of Sadhana Panchakam will be the steps that take us to this first level of purity of mind. And the second level will be called as clarity of thinking. And a person whose mind has become more pure and whose thinking has become more clear, for them, the truth becomes evident. So both of these things, purity of mind and clarity of thinking, these are inner things, aren't they? It wasn't that, okay, now step number 1 is you have to go and do 500 pujas. Step number 2 is you have to go and chant 15,000 mantras, doing something out. What you're pointing at is something inside. The whole spiritual journey is pointing at something inside. Although we do have things like puja and chanting and giving donation and going to visit great tirats, means pilgrimage places, and going and bowing down at the feet of saints. We have things we do outside. But all of it is supposed to lead to inner unfoldment. Purity of mind in one line, if you have to give explanation, is inner unfoldment without ego. This is what we're looking to do. Inner unfoldment without ego. What does that mean now? Purity of mind is pointing at, and see the word. Just use the word to help get an understanding. Purity means that you have something which is right now not clean has some foreign substance, some impurity in it, and you have to remove it, isn't it? Only when you remove it, then the thing which by itself, when it shines, is called purity. Correct? You don't need to make the gold that we dig out from the earth here in Guyana. Guyana is full of gold and diamonds. So when you dig it out, it doesn't look like gold. It looks like dirt. It maybe little goldish flakes are there, right? To make it pure gold, you don't have to add anything. You have to remove something. They call it refining process, right? So the word purity of mind in Sanskrit, chitta shuddhi, itself indicates sadhana is going to be all about removing things and letting my natural qualities shine out. So there, the assumption in Hinduism, if you have to say, is that whatever focus, so purity of mind will include, and we did this analysis last time, all the good qualities a mind can have, including the basic things like focus, friendliness, compassion, cheerfulness, creativity, right? Resilience, and the list goes on and on. All the gunas, good qualities. And impurities, things that actually aren't inherent in you, will be all the what we call as durgunas, or the undesirable qualities, like kama, krodha, mada, lobha, matsarya. As we go on hearing, desire, anger, greed, jealousy, pride, all these things will be, the word is mala, right? Mala means not mala, like the mala we wear. Mala, that means impurity. Impurity. The idea is like this. And now in a little bit in modern language for when you speak to your children and your office workers and all of that, right? If a person is seeking more confidence and self-esteem, in Hinduism, to gain more confidence is not about, okay, well, once you go there and you accomplish something, then you will gain more confidence. We don't view that as a successful way of building confidence. We think, no. Do whatever you have to do to remove insecurity. And once you remove insecurity, you will be naturally confident. See, if you look at a little baby, right? They should be the most insecure. But they're the most confident. Correct or not? They're confident. It's only when they grow up a little bit and then they learn erroneously that, when I spilled the juice on my pants and everybody made fun of me for having a wet spot on my pants, that was a bad thing. Now I don't want to take juice I don't want to drink juice in front of anybody anymore. I don't take juice to school anymore. And so now they have a hang up. And they're not confident. So we analyze that from this point of view. Okay, well, something was introduced into their whole mental process that is blocking natural, simple confidence. Like that. So that is how we analyze all the different qualities of the mind. And this is very much in line with modern psychotherapy. Modern psychotherapy is very much in line with this. It's also in line with people's experience. Some people feel that they have a hang up. I am not, what you call, good. Simple. I'm not good enough. I'm not wealthy enough, attractive enough, smart enough. And when I go out and I become those things, then people will like me and I deserve it. So people do that all the time. It's a very common thing, right? Then once they go out and get those things and they become good or better, and then people do like them, then they have another problem. Well, you like me for my attraction and my wealth and all that. Correct or not? So if I didn't have those things, you wouldn't like me. So the confidence has become stronger, or the confidence has become, the insecurity has become stronger. They still have as much insecurity as day one, because they didn't deal with the fact of insecurity has come. Well, I am not good enough unless I have this ability, or this wealth, or this much followers. So that was the basic mullah, if you say, that it was in their mind. Then they kept that inside, and they went and did. And now they have lots of people around them, and still they're wondering, that insecurity is still there. Will you, if these things leave me, will you still be with me? And that kind of thought can ruin a relationship, correct or not? That goes to show, which is where we left it off last time, there are a lot of just ordinary benefits that come from purity of mind. Although purity of mind is meant to gain mukti, to reclaim our own happiness, which we are, purity of mind is also the key factor in enjoying what we have. If we don't have purity of mind, we can't enjoy what we have. And in modern language, if we don't have focus, cheerfulness, gratitude, resilience, forgiveness, can you just paint the picture of the minister or the business CEO who has no cheerfulness, who has anger, who has jealousy? He can't enjoy what he has, correct or not? Further than that, purity of mind is required to take bad situations and make something good out of them. If we lose our purity of mind while we pursue things in the world, and we work hard and we get them, and then, as always happens, some tragedy strikes, what you find is then people sink further and lower. See, for example, the story is well known that the young child prodigy in chess, for instance, and this happened, Disney made a big movie about this called The Queen of Katwe. Young girl from Uganda. She becomes so good at chess, from the slums in Uganda. Then she goes straight to the top, and she's competing against grandmasters. From like some really, you can imagine, really, really rural village, right? Then she starts, because with impurity of mind, she starts thinking, oh, before she felt poor, she felt less than, now she feels better than, so she has superiority complex. Then when she comes back to her village, she's like, yesterday, people were serving me food, and today, Mom, you're telling me to go and sweep and clean? This is not right. I'm a grand champion. My name is in newspapers. Then from that, she fell low, and she lost her competitions. And she had to start from scratch again, this time with a pure attitude. So the ups and downs that come without purity of mind are tremendous. So the rishis advise like this. The spiritual practice in Hinduism of making the mind more pure by removing all the hang-ups, let's call it, right? And lack of focus, and we'll come to a disintegration of personality and all the things that weaken our inside. That whole lifestyle can go on while we do what we do in the world at the same time. Then you'll get two benefits. You will get stuff, whatever you want to do in the world and accomplish and build family, that will happen, but you will also be able to enjoy it, and you'll be able to face challenge, right? And if everything is lost in life, but purity remains, then nothing is lost in life. That is the other strong, what you call, that's the theme song behind the story of Hinduism. If you end up pure at the end of it and everything is lost, nothing is lost. Because even from the simplest of situations, there's nothing a pure person cannot do in this world. Huh? And it's not like I'm just telling romantically. You see, Modi ji, everybody quotes Modi ji was selling chai on the road. Huh? That means he was like in Ghana, he's just a simple vendor selling, what you call? Plantain chips and sour on the road. And he became prime minister of the biggest democracy on the whole planet. So purity, simplicity, clarity of thinking, they conquer everything, right? Yes. So this is the theme, this is the direction, this is the benefits that you will get. And besides the individual benefits, there will be benefits to society. Because if you and I become spiritual aspirants, people who do sadhana, and the word for that, please learn this word, sadhaka. It's very easy because if you learn one word, you can learn three. One and you get three. Three for one. The first word is sadhana. Sadhana. Just three syllables. Say that. Sadhana. That means spiritual practice. You just change the last syllable, sadhaka. And that means the person who is doing the spiritual practice, the person who has the desire. To have a pure mind, to be successful, to enjoy what they have, to be able to face challenges, that person. Sadhana, sadhaka. And the last word is sadhya. Sadhya is the goal that you're trying to seek, right? And these three words are important because, well, I'll come back to that in a moment. I was telling you about the benefits outside. When a person is a sadhaka, means somebody who's actually taking up the process to get to where they need to go. Sadhana means spiritual practice. Now I'll give another translation for that. The process. The process. To take gold and purify it, there is a purification process. Correct or not? To take flour and milk and sugar and yeast and bake a cake, there is a process, correct? You have to put it in to the heat, and that cake has to, first of all, it has to rise in the heat, and little spots have to form where gas is there. Then you have to put it in even more heat, and then all that gas has to escape, leaving all the little holes that make it fluffy. Then the sugar needs to caramelize and get crispy, and it needs to, so much has to happen in there to transform. Then you finally get the beautiful product, right? Through heat, difficulty, it happens. So it's a process, and the process is not comfortable. Sadhana is like that. So the person who is engaging in a process to transform themselves in a household, that is the person who passes on values to the next generation. It is not by talking that children follow. They do what you do. They don't do what you say. Values are caught. They're not taught. So when a person is practicing spirituality, it means if they're in a household, 2 generations at least are getting it. And if there are grandchildren in that household, 3 generations are getting it in one shot. And values are taught in the home. So sadhakas bless the world when they live in a home. They are also the individuals who can hold the family together. You always find that those people who have anchored themselves in making their mind pure, in treating people nicely, they're not the ones who are going to get caught up in all the interfamily battle, right? So otherwise, nowadays, everybody gone to their own room, they're on their device, they just meet to eat and they're gone again, and they don't like each other because this person does do that and this person does do that. I like to be by myself, correct or not? But if you have a spiritual aspirant in the home, they have a power to keep everybody together. So those are two benefits. They keep families together, they pass on values, and they also, see, if we go back and look for the positive spiritual movements in society, in a community, right? If a community gets together and they say, okay, let's clean up this field here so children can play, right? Let's put down some sand and pick up all the garbage so children, so the community gets together. That can never really be done by instruction from a higher body like a government. A government cannot, see, we're here in Monrepo. A government cannot, okay, everybody in Monrepo now, everybody take a day off work now and clean up Monrepo for your own benefit. Or clean up your street in Mississauga. Instruction. People will revolt, correct or not? The only way you find community change is one, it always begins with one individual who has the quality in them, going out and practicing it, and then more people joining. Correct or not? So the work that Swami Vivekananda ji did, that has caused a whole transformation. The work Puja Swami Chinmayananda ji did, that caused a whole transformation. So societal transformation begins with individual transformation. And individual transformation is none other than sadhana. So there are benefits to the world, because many people I encounter these days tell me, no, Hinduism doesn't have any benefit. Teach the children to play some dholak and sing some bhajan so they can go to the mandir and charge some money and make some money. Otherwise, what is the profit that they will get out of going to mandir? Have you heard such things? Or at least teach them to make some seven curry so that they can set up a shop and they can sell seven curry to the mandir. Otherwise, what they're doing there, they're not getting any money out of it. What is the profit-making benefit? So an understanding of the value of purity of mind, an understanding of how these people transform society and hold families together, which I hope you're thinking of people as I talk. You're thinking of somebody's aji and somebody's nani, and and say, yeah, they did something every day and that helped them become a good person, and they were more calm when they dealt with this other person, and they weren't so attached, and they were able to do this other thing, and they held the community together. It is all from this thing called sadhana. So it is the topic in Hinduism. And now we begin with the first instruction. The very first thing Bhagavan says to do is Vedo Nityamadhiyatam. That is the first instruction, those words. If you want to, when we chant, we pause sometimes in the middle of an instruction. The chanting doesn't fit like one instruction per chant, right? Because that's the way Sanskrit composition is. So you might have to put a little line to say, okay, number 1, number 2, in the 8 that make this verse. So this is the first one. The word there, adhiyatam, means study. Oh boy. First instruction in Hinduism, study. We belong to a tradition that does not prescribe blind belief. There's only one demand. We don't demand that you come and you drink some water, or you bathe in some water, and then you forego something else, and you give 10% of your income. We don't require anything. What we require is that you think. Hinduism is for thinking people. You have to apply yourself. So the first instruction is that a person should study what? Veda Nityam. They should study the Vedas all the time. Nityam means all the time. Nityam means constantly. Nityam means daily also. Study the Vedas daily. Study the Vedas constantly. Oh boy. Well, I have not even seen a Veda in my whole life. And if I see it, it is in Sanskrit. So I can't practice this. And this is number one, step one. You bore me out on step one. So this might be somebody's reaction, but let us see the meaning, right? So there are two sides to this. One will be the traditional, and one will be the modern application, right? So let us see both. Traditionally, what is the Vedas? And everyone should know that the source of all knowledge in Hinduism has come from great seers who sat in their own individual, subjective analysis, like a scientist analyzing what is going on inside, and came to great discoveries. And it wasn't a group or a team or an organization of people. It was one person in one part of Bharat, one person in a whole other part of the world, like that. And for tens of thousands of years. Just like in science, you have one scientist here in Guyana, they make a discovery, and another scientist in Canada, he makes a next discovery, and the two discoveries are the same. So Hinduism is made of a collection of the discoveries of so many various saints and sages. One Bhagavan Veda Vyasa came and collected all of that scientific results, inner scientific results about what is going on inside. How deep does my personality go? What happens if I die? Do I really die? All this type, where does my life come from? Where does love come from? Where does harmony come from? Where do I get my energy from? And they just made discoveries. And he collected all of that knowledge and he put it in one collection called the Vedas. And what we have is not the whole thing. And so that means to say someone could sit here today, a great sage or sage could sit here in 2025 and make the same discovery and catch more knowledge and add it to Veda. There's nothing stopping that, right? But this collection that Veda Vyasa has done, he organized it, compiled it, and it has names for different types of mantras: Rig, Sama, Yajur, Atharvana, Veda. And he organized them by type. And that whole body of knowledge is called Vedas. And you have to study that to be a Hindu. So we go into it a little bit more. What are the types of knowledge that they got? So it is grouped into three buckets, if you want to say, right? The first one is called karma, is the karma kanda. Like how you have Sundar Kand, Bal Kand, a section of Ramayana, you have karma kand, right? That section on action. And that is where you will find popularly people associate that with all the havan, all the homa and havan that we do in Hinduism. It has come down from that section, right? But it is way more than that. It basically covers the types of duties that a person has to do in life such that they can get what they want and purity of mind at the same time. That's what Karma Kanda theme is, right? Then the next bucket of knowledge is called Upasana. The rishis called techniques on how a person can stay very mentally close to the ideal. So through hymns about nature, taking some aspect of nature as a symbol, a pratika, you can stay close to the reality which is just behind it. So it's hymns about different elements of nature to allow the mind to embody and get close with Bhagavan. So it's meditations, if you will, on the Lord, right? That is called Upasana Kanda, the section on Upasana. And that's what Upasana is, when you meditate on some symbol of the Lord so that your mind can be lifted. The last section is called Jnana Kanda. Jnana or Gyan. In Hindi, Gyan Kanda. So what you think is in Gyan Kanda? That's where all the revealing happens. A person who studies Gyan Kand gets the knowledge of their own self, which is hidden inside, revealed to them. That is what Gyan Kand does. So everything else is meant for Gyan Kand or Jnana Kanda. So these are the three buckets that are there in the Vedas. Now, what Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya is giving here in this Sadhana Panchakam, where do you think he's getting it from? The Vedas only. And when you study Ramcharitmanas, and so many lessons are given there. And when Bhagavan Ram speaks and he talks and he gives advice and he tells Vibhishana, or Lakshman tells Guha, or Shiva speaks to Parvati, and you're getting so much jnana, where do you think all the jnana is stored? Vedas. Is that Vedic jnana they're getting? Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is bringing out Jnana Kand to Arjuna on a battlefield. So you need not study the Vedas directly. In fact, all this work was done by saints and sages because studying it directly is not practical. Preparation is needed, additional knowledge is needed, putting it in the right context for everybody is needed. So much is needed to understand that. Just like in science, you cannot walk into a university physics class and sit there and understand what's going on. You won't understand. Preparation is needed. So all this what conversation we're having right now, this is also studying the Vedas daily. That means to say, the advice from Bhagavan himself is the human being should be engaged in satsang on a daily basis. 7 p.m. every day, some kind of satsang. And for North America, that sounds like unimaginable. I know. Every day I have some satsang. I know for many people that is unimaginable until they get to a certain stage of life. But this is for everybody. This is for children all the way up. But here in Guyana, I have heard stories only of how our forefathers used to live after coming back from cutting cane. They used to pick up the Ramayana and go and sing as a normal, regular thing. Singing, chanting also falls under this. So even if you open something and you sing, like you sing Hanuman Chalisa every day, you will also fulfill this requirement. But the idea is, by the choice of the word, adhiyatam, is that study will give you some information. You will learn something from that, right? Of course, chanting gives tremendous benefits. Chanting alone gives tremendous benefits. But here, they're also interested in you gaining some knowledge, right? Okay, so that is a summary of what is Vedas and how we can practice it. You're being in satsang every day, at least chanting something every day, listening to something every day, like that. Okay, then one more thing now, modern context. Suppose someone asks, how is a student who has to go to school every day and study English, math, science, how are they going to study Vedas? Then they come home and they have lessons in Guyana, and like 8 o'clock they get home from lessons. 8 a.m. they're at school and 8 p.m. they get lessons. So, yeah, so nice question has come. Are you going to give us something to practice this week? Yeah, so I have hinted that each person should find themselves engaged in satsang every day. 7 p.m. is a great time. Listening to something, reading something, chanting something. Now, another way to look at this instruction, which is also very, very much in line with the Vedas. The word Veda means knowledge. It doesn't mean books. The word Veda means knowledge. So the Vedas for Hindus is not just what I described as the 3 khandas. It also includes all knowledge. That means it includes study of English and study of physics and study of engineering. All that falls under Veda. And historically, if you're going to study Veda, you have to study some other science, something called Upaveda. You have to study, at least you have to study grammar. But there's so many different scriptures we have to study the material sciences. So knowledge for us is Veda. So if you go to school every day and you study about plant life, and then you study about business administration, technically you're studying Veda because it is knowledge. But you're not studying it from a Vedic point of view. So that is all that is required for someone who is engaged, a youth who is engaged to meet this requirement. What is the Vedic point of view now? We'll see. What is the point of view with which we study nowadays? Beta, son, go to school and do well in your exams so that you can go to one of the prestige schools. Go to one of the prestige schools so you can get a good job and fame. Get a good job so you can get good money. And with good money, you can get a good house. And then, like we were saying before, then many people will want to marry you and you could maybe move abroad. And this is what they teach or not. This is exactly what they teach. So while studying, the child has in mind from his parents, given to him from his parents. This is their great teaching. You're doing all of this so you can be well settled and safe and secure with money in your life. So that is his connection between studying about, they teach you how to make bridges in school, with popsicle sticks. The triangle is more effective method of building a bridge than a square. So he's studying that, thinking in his mind, somehow, someday, this is going to make me rich or famous. So the difference now, that's a Western tradition, is like this. If it was a Vedic parent, a true Hindu parent who understudied the Sadhana Panchakam, it won't be about getting a scholarship or getting your name published in the paper or telling friends about how many subjects your children did and all that. It will be, as a result of studying this plant biology or this physics, can you better marvel at the tremendous beauty in this world? The idea of the Vedic knowledge is it always makes a connection to Bhagavan. It's amazing how this fits into the big scheme of things. So popsicle stick, they make a popsicle stick bridge. But if I take this popsicle stick bridge, which can hold 5 pounds, to the moon, I might be able to stand on it. How amazing Bhagavan made it perfect that everything we have that holds up everything in this world has just enough strength for gravity here. But if the world had a bit more gravity, then everything would crumble. Trees would not grow that high, and I would not be the height I am. And if I had a bit less gravity, then everything would be different. Bhagavan made it so perfect. So when you study the PSI of a beam, it is connected in the bigger scheme of things. When you study the plumbing of the body, there's There's more plumbing in this one body. That if I take out all the veins and everything and I line it all up, they say it can go around the world. That's how much individual strands of plumbing there are in this whole body. So when you go to school and you study that, you become amazed how Bhagavan can fit such almost like infinite complexity into something so simple. For me to do what? To eat ice cream. Such complexity I have. So this type of connection is what is supposed to be done when studying in school. Then the person actually meets this first requirement. So when you connect it properly, you're studying Veda. And when you connect it to money, well, then you have given up this tradition for a different tradition. Like that. Okay, so this is the very first one. So the practice now when you go home is to start to marvel. And you can do that anywhere with any little piece of knowledge you have. Of course, if everything you learned, like I did, was connected to doing well and being powerful and all that, you might have to relearn your own profession a little bit. But marveling is the one thing we should do nityam, continuously. You change a light bulb, and when you change the light bulb, the light comes on. That is really something to marvel about. You're lying in bed, you're taking some deep breaths, and you're starting to fall asleep. That is also something to marvel about. Suddenly you get up in the morning and you have energy and you get a new idea, that a solution to a problem, something to so to constantly connect through knowledge what you're doing to the big scheme of things is to study Vedas. Okay, so we pause here now. We'll say closing prayer and then we'll open it for any question. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Hari Om. श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय।